Hey everybody, this is John Lucas from University Communications. We'll get started in just a minute. Thanks for jumping on today.
I don't usually get to talk to the to the sports press. This is fun.
Thanks, Chancellor. Hang on just a second. I think we're waiting for Charlie to log in. Charlie, I think we're okay here if you want to get us started.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Charles Hoslett. I'm the Vice Chancellor for University Relations, and I will be moderating our short media briefing today. Thanks very much for joining us as we launch the search for the next Director of Athletics at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. First, I'd like to direct everyone to the website wisconsinad.wisc.edu if you haven't found it already. That's got the complete details about our athletic program and the position description that we'll be discussing today. Also in the chat is a link to the news release about this process. Many of you also received that by email earlier today, and go ahead and review that again if you'd like. We'll hear today from Pete Miller, the chair of the UW Athletic Board and also chair of the search committee. Peter is a professor of educational leadership and policy analysis in our School of Education and a former Division I student athlete. Our other speaker, of course, is UW-Madison Chancellor Rebecca Blank, who in addition to her other roles, serves on the Big Ten Council of Presidents and Chancellors and is a member of the NCAA Board of Governors. They're going to offer some brief remarks about the search process, and then we'll take some questions. We'll get to as many as we can, and we'd like to offer everyone a chance to ask one question before allowing folks to put additional questions in there. So a brief note on logistics. First, just to note, this session is being recorded. Second, I'd ask everyone to keep themselves on mute. And third, we will ask that you post your questions in the chat, and then I will ask them at the conclusion of the remarks by Pete and the Chancellor, so that we don't have to worry about people coming on mute and off mute and so forth. So with that, Pete, would you like to begin?
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. I appreciate it. I just want to start by saying what a pleasure it was yesterday to attend the session with Coach Alvarez and to watch the video and hear Coach reflect on his experience and the conversation with Matt. And it was just a wonderful event, and just struck home again how fortunate we all have been to have Coach Alvarez at the helm over these many years. It's been a real honor to work with Coach, not only just because of you saw the trophies and all the success on the field and on the court, but really to be able to work with him behind the scenes has really opened my eyes to the extent to which he advocates for this university, the extent to which he's been a champion for the university and for the state of Wisconsin, and the way he's done it right, the way that he's ensured the student welfare is at the center of everything we do. and that we can be proud of the program he's developed. So I want to just thank Coach Alvarez for his work as we launch into this. I serve as the athletic board chair, which I think a lot of folks know is the shared governance aspect of our work as it relates to athletics. We provide oversight in athletics and serve the university in its shared governance. We have a diverse group of people, faculty, staff, alumni, students, all represented on the board. So that is the role I play in normal days, and in this day as serving as chair of this committee. I really embrace the role. I'm excited about it, and also realize how important it is to our university and to all of our student athletes. So I'm really excited about that. This search committee that Chancellor Blank has assembled is a wonderful group of people. Each and every one of them has a great role to play in this, and I'm very excited to work with them and getting to work together. As this process plays out, we will be thorough in our work. The job will be posted, for these 3 weeks ahead, and we will be thorough in soliciting input from different groups on campus and beyond. And given the gravity of the work and the importance of the work, we'll be very, very thorough in the work and dig deep into it. We don't anticipate having a lot of updates to share after this for the weeks ahead. We do hope to have an announcement of a new athletic director within a few months. So the process will be going over that period. So with that, I will hand it over to Chancellor Blank now.
Thank you, Pete. I'm not going to repeat what I said yesterday, other than to just say it's hard to imagine Badger sports without Barry Alvarez. And while we are launching a national search today, I think all of us are aware of the importance of this search to the Wisconsin athletics program. We really want to preserve and maintain what we have here, and the sort of Wisconsin way that we have taken to care not only about performance on the field, but off the field. As Pete had said, the process is going to prioritize finding a new athletic director who embraces the university's commitment to student athlete well-being and success everywhere, not just as athletes. We hope to continue to build on the past 3 decades of athletic success, but that is not the only quality we're seeking. Some of the others that are emphasized in the job description: a demonstrated commitment to the holistic student athlete experience. Beyond athletic success, robust opportunities academically, socially, and in the transition to the post-college lives of these students. A demonstrated commitment to diversity, inclusion, and gender equity, and a high degree of personal integrity, and an understanding of UW-Madison, including our history, mission, values, culture, and its importance to the people of Wisconsin. Both Pete and I recognize that we've been entrusted with an important search, and we don't take the many successes we've had over the last several decades for granted. That can be lost quite quickly with the wrong leader. So this is an important hire for our university as well as for the state. In the end, I plan to hire the most talented candidate, and I fully expect that that individual is going to lift this university and its athletic program to even better heights than we've seen over the last several decades. So I'm looking forward to the search. I'm really delighted at Pete's willingness to chair this, as well as the willingness of the other search committee members, many of whom are very busy people, to serve on the committee. And I look forward to receiving some names from them and sorting through this and making a final decision as quickly as we can get there.
Right. Thank you, Chancellor. And so we encourage people to place their questions in the chat. And Jesse Temple has the first question. How much will you weigh whether a candidate has previous ties to the university and understands the program from those experienced when you go through this process?
I think it's going to be important that any candidate understand what there is about Wisconsin that we are particularly proud of, and how this program has run with both athletic as well as academic integrity, and is very, very committed to those values. Is there some advantage to having connections with Wisconsin? This is true in every search that I've ever been part of, but that by itself is not it's not disqualifying if the answer is no, but other attributes are there. Pete, I don't know if you want to add to that.
I think you said it well, Chancellor.
Next question from Stephanie Sutton. Will Barry Alvarez play any role in helping find his successor?
So Barry is not on the search committee. He has indicated his willingness to provide advice and commentary whenever we need it, but has also made it quite clear that he will provide that when we ask for it.
Very good. Next question. What went into putting the search committee together?
So I was looking for a broadly representative group and trying to think through who are the stakeholders who we really need represented on this committee. And as you look down the list, we obviously have a whole number of alums. We've got a number of people who've had longtime ties to Wisconsin. We've got people who have been involved with the athletic program from the inside very closely, some great coaches. We've got people who've been involved from the outside, either who might have been student athletes themselves many years ago, but have been donors and friends and supporters of the university broadly, not just athletics. And we've got, community representation as well as student representation. All of that matters. And, all of these individuals, I hope, will do outreach to their own stakeholders to generate names. And, when we get to final choices, to communicate why this individual is our choice.
Question from Jeff Patrikas. Are there any concerns that the promotion of an internal candidate that has been supported publicly by Coach Alvarez will appear to be a rubber stamp decision?
As far as I can see, for every other athletic director search that has happened around this university, the process has been the following. The chancellor threw open his or her door and announced the candidate. And, that's not what we're doing. We are doing a full national search. I have a serious search committee together with a great chair. I've already made calls to a number of people around the Big Ten and elsewhere saying, if you know good people, encourage them to be part of this search. We're doing a national search and we're going to look for the best candidate.
Question from Jim Polzine. How many candidates do you anticipate the search committee coming up with for you to decide on? How many candidates are you asking them to forward?
I'll turn that over to the search committee chair. Tell me what you're planning to do, Pete.
I think it's hard to put an exact number on that. I could ballpark it and say maybe 3 to 5 candidates, but that's of course dependent upon how the search goes. We're really, as Chancellor said, we're eager to have a broad pool of applicants and a really high quality pool of applicants. This job is a very attractive one in so many ways. And so we're eager to pass a really high quality slate onto the Chancellor.
And related to that, Pete, or the Chancellor, is the university actively recruiting any candidates or encouraging specific candidates to apply?
So neither I nor Pete would be appropriate to be reaching out to people. It sends the wrong message. It makes it sound like we're trying to individually actually say, hey, you apply and we'll give your candidacy some special attention. I am reaching out to people in college athletics who have broad networks, both inside and outside the Big Ten, people who are not likely to apply themselves given their current positions, but who know a lot of people. And saying, look, we want some of the best folks possible. We want people who understand what goes on at Wisconsin and why it works here, and asking them to talk to folks or to nominate people. But neither Pete nor I are individually reaching out to potential candidates. That would not be an appropriate process.
A second question from Stephanie Sutton, and again, we encourage people to put their questions in the chat if they have them. How much is diversity or gender going to factor into your decision into hiring a new athletic director?
This is a university that is quite committed to inclusiveness and to diversity, and we're doing a lot of things across the university on those issues. I am reaching out to individuals, to organizations, to networks that represent lots of different groups inside athletics, in part because I want a very strong and a diverse pool. And I hope it is diverse along gender lines. I hope it's diverse along racial lines, and whatever other, perhaps people with different types of experience, some who might have been coaches, some who might be more schooled in management. We're looking for a broad group of people and are trying to cast a net that way. We're advertising this to a wide variety of organizations. And, explicitly among the things that we are looking at is, regardless of the diversity of the candidate, the commitment of the candidate to diversity issues. I don't know, Pete, do you want to say anything more about that one?
I think you said it really well, Chancellor. This is among the priorities that we have as a committee.
And I think it's clearly stated in the job description.
Good question from Steve from Associated Press. Barry Alvarez was unique in that he had more of a coaching background than experience in athletic administration when he took over as AD. How critical will a background in athletic administration be in choosing his successor?
So, it's interesting. If you look over the last 3 decades ago, virtually all ADs came up through the coaching ranks, right? And if you now look at ADs at a number of top programs, many of them were never coaches. They come much more out of management or administration positions. I think some of that is because of the increasing complexity of college athletics. This job just requires a lot more than only hiring coaches, though hiring coaches is incredibly important, hiring and mentoring them. People will bring their set of skills, and we're not saying we only want coaches or we only want people with administrative background. We're looking for people who can hire and mentor great coaches, and we're looking for people who can run and manage a very complex athletic program at a big and complex organization in a world where there are lots and lots of issues in front of athletics. And those are some of the questions we're going to be asking candidates, and whatever background they come from, we're going to be listening to the answers.
Another question from Jeff Patrikas. When Donna Shalala hired Pat Richter, it was a huge decision. Could one of you quantify the importance of getting this hire right and the risks of getting it wrong?
Pete, you want to start on that one?
I can start. I think that a couple of things jump to my mind. First of all, we are entering a period of rapid change. Obviously, we all know that in college athletics, in which the world is more complex than it ever was, and we're sitting on the brink of likely change. And so this person needs to be very fluent in that world, and to be able to lead our institution through on the values we want to hold tight to as an institution with regard to the collegiate model. So it's not a quantification other than it's a qualification to say that in this new environment, it's critical. The other part of that is more on the quantified side is that the business of college sports along with the reformed conversation is bigger and bigger. And we know that. We know that from this past year, we're engaging in a very difficult environment after COVID in our athletics department and our broader university are, just like Chancellor Blank is in administration and others are across campus. It's a very challenging fiscal environment. So this new person will need to lead us through that in a smart way, and they will need to do that in a way that is a rapidly changing policy environment.
Yeah, the way I'd say it, if just Pete's comment in different words, is leadership matters. And leadership matters for maintaining the culture and the ethos and the quality of programs we have here. And if we get it wrong, we will not maintain that. And that would be at a very high cost to our students, to our university, to the state.
Thank you. A follow-up question from AP. Pete, you had indicated you would hope to pick someone within a few months, and Steve is wondering if there's a specific date by which we want to make sure that we've got a hire in place.
We do not have a date. We're trying to have a thorough process. We have a certain period in which the applications will be open, and then our committee will meet and have thorough, robust discussions, and hope to meet with some really top candidates and pass those along to Chancellor Blank. And as we said, we were hoping within a few months is the time frame we're aiming for. But the bottom line is we want to pass high quality candidates to Chancellor Blank and allow her to make the selection.
I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat. We'll wait just a minute in case someone's furiously typing away. But while we're waiting, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us today. And with that.
There is another question here, Charlie.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Zach, helping.
If you don't have a person in place by June 30th, will there be an interim AD?
So I very much hope we might make the June 30th deadline, but searches have their own rhythm and you can't force this. I want the right person as opposed to the fast search. You know, we'll see what happens and what looks likely. Let's say you had the best candidate in the world and they said, gosh, I'd love to come, but I just can't be there before the 1st of October. Who knows why? You know, we'll see what happens in that case. We obviously have real talent inside the department and can cover that with an interim coverage if we need to, or I lean on Barry to stay a little longer. You know, I'm not going to cross that bridge until we come to it.
All right, not seeing any further questions in the chat. Again, thank you so much for taking some time today to hear from Chancellor Blank and Professor Miller. And if you do have follow-up questions on the search, you can feel free to route those to John Lucas in University Communications. With that, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much.
Thank you all.